Hi, my name is Brian, like to an infinity and Brian, and this is my new podcast, our first episode of Outside the Lab. And I'm here with
Jeremy, aka Turnip Water.
And in his first episode, Scream and Shout. Woo! So from here, we're gonna be having podcasts and a lot of fun getting to know different people. And so let's just get started. So what's your name again?
My name is Jeremy Buchanan, but I also go by Turnip Water.
And tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm from Illinois, but I also grew up in Los Angeles since I was 13 years old. Sadly, it was in the foster care system at 13. I think I was with my mom for about 3 months, maybe 4, before I got into the foster care system on the West Coast. Since I've been out here, I've advocated for youth. I've been an activist. I've been a rapper. I've been a singer. I've done the Hollywood dream kind of thing. I'm also a video editor, and I've worked for Lionsgate. I've worked with Adobe. I've done a few documentaries and stuff like that. And I'm 28 years old. I'm a young black male, in this society. Mm-hmm. And I like to bridge the gap in Hollywood. That's my thing, to be honest.
And what about, what do you like to do for fun? What are your passions?
For fun, I love to skateboard. I love to draw. And I love to, it sounds crazy, but I actually love video. I love video editing. It's actually a hobby of mine because there's so much things you can do to somebody's face.
Let's get into that. So, you said you like doing videos. And how'd that start? Tell us your superhero story.
My superhero story was I was homeless, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, you're a rapper, you're artistic. There's an animation program." I didn't know nothing about Better Youth at all. I kind of knew John A, but we didn't know each other too deeply. We just met each other before. But she said I should join this organization because she was telling me that y'all are real, that y'all are there for people and y'all really care about us. So I was like, okay, yeah, let me check it out. So I got into the program, fell in love with it. It took me about, I think 2 weeks. Yeah, I was probably the first person to finish my animation besides I probably was the first person. So once I got finished with that, they was like, "Oh, you should be a video editor." And I was like, yeah. I used to be a hacker when I was younger.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so I'm okay with using a program, if you know what I mean. And they gave me the tools I needed, which was they gave me the Adobe Suite, and they also gave me Angie's List, which taught me how to edit, like a teacher telling you different slides or whatever. Then I had Sean. I could call him up, ask him questions, and he knew a lot about Adobe at the time. So I was calling him every day, And then plus, once they trusted me to be a good editor, once I learned how to be an editor for sure, they started giving me projects, which was very, very important for development. If I never got these projects, I probably wouldn't be such a good editor because they kept giving me challenges. So.
Oh, yes. Oh, I definitely, this is how this podcast is starting because they wanted me to do this podcast. I wanted somebody else to host the show instead of me. It was like, no, your personality is perfect for this. So
Right. And, I've been enjoying it every day since. I remember, because at first I had this computer that was real dinky. I can hardly download Premiere Pro. But I remember the day that I was helped to get this touchscreen laptop. I don't remember exactly how I got it, but I remember Better Youth had their hand in it, and they helped me definitely raise the funds multiple times. So I don't know exactly how I got this laptop, the touchscreen one, But sorry, but once I finally got it, it was like eye opening. It was like everything, because having an Adobe suite and the correct laptop put together, and then we work with the Los Angeles Urban League, right?
And then
So that was like, for me, I've been hearing about Los Angeles Urban League since maybe elementary, but definitely middle school.
what is that?
So the Los Angeles Urban League is a black organization. It started as a black organization, but they help all urban people. But what they do is when they first started, they was housing people, feeding people. Like, people used to line up, go to their little houses, their little stations that they had around the country, and get food, clothes, help with their rent, stuff like that. Nowadays, they do the exact same thing, just without the food, I guess. They help small businesses. They help families. They teach kids how to open their own business. So when I actually got offered to work with them, it was like, whoa, like, this wasn't even Disney. You get what I'm saying? But it was like, because we work with Disney too, that was cool. But, I was able to lead a project, kind of like being an editor, or, having some kind of position with an organization. I respect it. I respect Better Youth, but I respected these people from like being young. So right there, that was eye-opening and life-changing, just working with them. And then going to Disney, we went to the Disney animation building, and when I was there, I was homeless in that moment.
Oh,
Yeah, I was actually in the streets panhandling that day. Yeah, I was panhandling that day, actually. So, and when we went to Disney, my mentor told me, like, you're not gonna be homeless no more. Ask for the youth. Yeah, she had me ask. Can't think of his name right now, but she had me ask a fellow alumni, where's his housing at? Which is another thing, was community. Even though I got in this program to learn something, learn how to use a computer, I got so much more, honestly.
Oh man, I so can relate to that. I've been helped so many times with housing because I'm a former foster youth. I'm in and out of programs constantly. So I'm always looking for housing, and they went above and beyond. Like, I'm going to tell you, since this is the first episode, how I even got into Better You. So it was a Christmas party. My friend told me, oh, just come. I was tired of programs. I was ready to go. I was like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. And then my friend's like, no, they're giving free gift cards. Just come. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And he was like, oh, also Tiffany Haddish and Tyler the Creator are hosting. And I was like, I don't really care, but okay. And so I went, and then they had their talks, and they was telling how they help youth and stuff. And I was like, I hear this all the time. What's the difference, right? And they was like, does anybody have questions? And then I said, I do. And I said, are you really about what you're talking about? And the whole room goes quiet. And then Tyler the Creator was like, well, damn, are you? To Sid. And she's like, I have to get back to you. And that got me in first thing. And she helped me as soon as I got kicked out of this toxic place. I'm not going to give names because I don't want them to come after me. But I got kicked out, and she helped me find housing like the next day. So.
Right. That's an amazing story. I ain't gonna lie. I remember hearing your voice in that event. I was so excited for you. I was like, yeah, like, you want to do what? Call her? I was actually telling Sid, like, please call her, because I feel like that person is serious. That's what I was telling Sid.
Yes. But back to you. This is your episode. But what are your passions? Like, what's your side stories like?
No, my passion is the truth. Honestly, I would say that's my passion, because I used to be an activist full time. I didn't get paid for it. I know people say full time because they get money, but I was doing it every single day. Like, I was in protests, I was in marches, I was in parades. So my passion has always been the truth. Because like in foster care, a lot of people get paid for us to be there. So like, I've been choked and thrown to the ground, about money. But meanwhile, they're telling my social worker that they're giving me $20 and they're cutting my hair, just giving me money because they want to cut my hair. Like, it was all, lies. So for me, my passion is the truth. But another thing about my passion, another passion of mine is artistry.
Oh, yes.
It's definitely artistry because culture to me is an art form of God. I feel like that was his art, you know. So like, you know, I'm just adding to the culture. So I don't know. That's another thing. And then I have a few passions. I'm not gonna lie. Another one is knowledge, finding like history. But that's knowledge basically.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I love history. It tells such a story of current events. So I
Oh, yes. Yes, I agree with that. And touching back on your activism, like what do you represent? Because you said you do it full time. So what do you
go to full time? Like back in the day, I was full blown black power. I was full blown equal rights. I was full blown like equity. With equity, I really believe that people deserve things, and I still believe people deserve things. I'm just saying like what I was representing then, I just don't represent now.
And what made you change?
What made me change was actually the news. Watching the news and learning about video editing and propaganda and stuff like that. It really opened my eyes that I was being propagated and I was being used for propaganda. Like, you know, I wear nice clothes, I wear flashy stuff, and people was using my image to promote something that I don't believe in no more. Like, for me, like, even when I was homeless, this is when my eyes opened when I was like homeless, you know, I was like, there's nobody oppressing me when it comes to like getting $1 million. Like if I want to go to college right now, I can go to college for free. You know what I mean? I was still fighting for that before that day. I was still fighting for people to get like college diplomacy and being able to have a place to stay, have a family, all that. Nowadays, it's like we don't want it no more. You know, nowadays social media is so popular, blah, blah, blah. So we have it, in my opinion, though. Other people give other opinions, and I respect that.
I see. And so you said you were in foster care, right?
Yes, I was in foster care.
And to go about that and activism, what are your thoughts on how a lot of programs like to use the people that they're supposedly helping, but they're not helping them at all? What are your thoughts?
One group that I can say is foster youth. That when they hear that you're in foster youth, for some reason they treat you different. I don't understand. It don't matter what race you are, how tall you are, it don't matter. It's just like, oh, your family, you know what I mean? Then they start being weird. So for them and me personally, you're a pawn. You know, like if they can get funding, they're so worried about funding that once they get it, they forget that they promised you all these things. I personally was used by my mother before I went into foster care, so it didn't even affect me. I was just watching the people do it, you know, like my mother had me paying the rent by asking for donations because she had an organization, right? So when I got to foster care, and then somebody informed me that they're getting like $2,000 for me specifically. I think it was like, it started at $1,500, then I started taking pills. It went up to like 20-something hundred or something. I got myself on pills. I told them, look, I'm not paying attention in school. Please give me some Adderall. I'm just not doing it. They gave me the Adderall, but then I found out my payment went up. So then,
oh wow,
I didn't need the Adderall no more, right? So I was good. So I told them like, look, I'm done with this Adderall. They was like, no, we gotta have a conversation. I was like, okay, good try. Like when I was a kid, I always liked history. Okay, history is very good thing because I took them to court. Okay, in the courtroom, because if you're a foster kid, listen to this. Know that your lawyer doesn't care about you, and I know you heard this before. Your social worker doesn't care about you. Your first foster parent doesn't care about you. Yes, there's outliers. Maybe all three of them care about you, but we're talking about the majority here. But that judge controls your life. So the lawyer is telling you that they don't want to tell the judge something, speak up. Make them tell you to shut up, because I have dealt with that in court, that my lawyer didn't want to say something about my mother because they wanted me to go back home. And I had to like just interrupt the whole courtroom. Yes, they told me to be quiet, but yes, they talked about what I just said, because they were saying something about my father or something like that. And I was like, they was like, oh, you don't want to meet his father. So I spoke up like, yes, I do want to meet my father. So, let's just cut that out, But they will. One thing I've seen personally is that they would throw these big events, because I actually work with organizations outside of this one. When I was a kid, before I got to foster care, they'll throw these events that cost like $10,000. Sorry, they'll throw these events that cost like $10,000, which you'll get like a teddy bear. I don't know if you ever been.
Oh yeah. I have.
You get like them little doll houses and stuff, and that funding. The way that they word it to get the funding is like, it's saying that it's helping you with your psychology and all that. They can be taking us to Magic Mountain with the same money, with the same time, with that same group of people that we went into that room to. Now we got to watch the person, talk on the microphone. They could have took us where the kids want to go, but they never ask us, because then when they start asking us, we start saying expensive things. You know what I mean? And they got the funding for it. So I'm glad I'm older now, and I'm an advocate for foster youth, because they should give us voices to see what we want. Like, we're grown now. We know what we want.
Yeah.
Hey, we know what the kids want too, because obviously, like, I always wanted a skateboard, right? You know what I mean? They never gave me a skateboard. I've been saying that since I was 16 till I was 20 years old at foster. I want a skateboard, never got one, so I think that if like any of these people really cared about me, the people that was having me, because like I said, I was an activist, so I would be there telling people we need to change for Black people. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're into the BLM movement.
Yes.
And the big controversy behind it, right?
Yeah.
So like me, I'm letting you know right now, Better You ain't about that life. We're not about that life to get like, big funding. And I ain't trying to attack BLM or whatever, but this is just all organizations. If they really cared about it, and they will be doing the little things that we are asking for verbally. Better Youth hears you. You know what I mean? That's one thing I can say. They hear you.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I agree to that, because I was in a lot of programs. Like, I'm not going to give their name, but I got offered to do an interview with Oprah, and they got mad about that because it wasn't about them. And they said, oh, it has to be us or you're not going to do it.
Wow.
So they made them do the whole interview about them instead of just me.
And that's funding.
Yeah, and that's for funding.
Yeah, and I've experienced that so much. And I didn't get mad because I was too young. And I felt like when you're not, even when I was 18, when you're not like a grown-up, you're a grown-up, you just can't say nothing. You just be like, okay, you don't call Oprah or go on Oprah's social media and be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't even blame you, because it's like, you don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
We're still on I don't want to get in trouble, but that's advocacy. And that's why now you got a podcast.
Oh, yes. And my big mouth.
And we need you to keep speaking for us, because, like that story, I never would have known that. And I'm sure other kids, I know other kids have experienced very similar things.
Yes.
Very similar things.
Like, for me, I've always been a person that wants to speak up, because when people see me, they see me as a girl like, oh, she's quiet, she's not going to say anything. And people misinterpret that as I'm able to be abused. And my adoptive dad was like that. Like, when I was a little kid, I overheard him, like, no matter how much I hit her, she's always smiling. And once I got to 15 and our last meeting, he wanted to beat me, and I told him he's not going to ever put his hands on me ever again. And I fought him. And that's how comes to find out, he already had 20 call-ins for him, and they did nothing.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, until I said something. So I'm always advocating for speaking up for yourself, because if ain't nobody else going to speak for you, then
we're going to do it.
If for real.
We're going to do it.
So, well, we're cutting it now, so I want to once again introduce
Jeremy Buchanan, aka Turn Up Water.
And I'm Brian, Mike to Infinity and Brian. And this is the end of our episode. I hope you liked our first episode. But first, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Sola and Skydance. And with that, I hope you stay tuned for the next episode next week. See you. Bye-bye.